Hey guys, it's jjpokey here. Today we're going to have a little bit of a tutorial and some lessons on how to become more scary Michael Myers in Dead by Daylight. When I say scary, Michael can be scary in many ways. He can be very dangerous scary, but today we're really going to focus on what most of our YouTube channel is about, which is using the Scratchmer add-on to essentially scare Twitch streamers and of course the other people in the game. In this video I want to cover a few things from map knowledge to the actual build that I use, and as well as add-ons and offerings for those of you who may be newer to the game and want to try something out like this. If you have a lot of hours in DBD, maybe play Killer a lot, and you know what all these perks do and add-ons do, you can go ahead and skip to the next part, which is going to be more map knowledge. If you don't have a lot of experience with Killer, or at least some of these perks, then I would recommend you stay for this explanation. For those of you who watch my videos, you know I really don't try to kill survivors. That is a personal choice that I do just so I'm friendly, but also I still like to hook survivors, injure them, and make sure they have a little bit of difficulty doing the gens. And that's a big part of being a Scratchmer Myers and trying to be scary, is you want the game to last long. Whether you're trying to kill them or not, the longer the game lasts, the more scares you get in, and the more paranoid the survivors will get over time. And to add slowdown, 3 out of 4 of our perks are all for slowdown. So Sloppy Butcher. Sloppy Butcher is essentially going to make the healing speed of survivors much slower. So when we're popping around corners and injuring a lot of the survivors, they tend to want to heal up so they're not getting surprised and then downed and on a hook. So it's very smart for survivors to heal, and it's kind of a natural reaction to the scratch mirror. Staying healthy is one of the best ways to survive. So this will really slow down that process, and it'll buy us a lot of time, because when survivors are healing themselves, they are not doing generators, which is exactly what we want. And the next perk is very popular on most killers in general, but especially Myers, because he has a really weak early game. But in this case, we're going to be using Corrupt Intervention to just do natural slowdown. If I'm running normal build with this, I'm going to use it so I can get into tier 2 or tier 3 without losing some of the gens early on. But Corrupt Intervention will block the 3 farthest generators from your location, and usually it'll give you hints to where the survivors are also spawning, which is great to know. This will prevent early game gen rushing, especially if there's toolboxes, brand new parts, anything like that. This will really help. Now the third perk can really be changed out for a few things. If you want to be scary, if you want to try to actually get a Mori and kill a survivor for the effect of being more lore accurate, or just being more intimidating, I would recommend putting on Rancor instead of Ruin. But right here we use Hex Ruin. I like to use this when I'm recording for YouTube because it makes the games last so much longer, especially if they can't find that totem early on. The Hex totem, for those of you who don't know what Ruin does, when a survivor lets go of a generator and there's no one working on it, it'll basically degress backwards at the same speed of a survivor doing it. So at 100% rate of repair, it's going to go backwards. It's going to start regressing, which is fantastic. When you scare a survivor off a gen, they're likely not going to go back to it, especially if you're still in the area, so it really helps to slow down. The only downside of this perk is that it is a hex. Luckily, when we're playing Scratch Mirror on indoor maps, and those hex totems can be a bit tricky to find, which is why I'm using it more often than not, though it is kind of risky. But overall, this perk really helps most of the games I play. There are games that'll get cleansed immediately and you're kind of down a perk, so you basically brought 3. But that's okay, that's the trade-off of bringing this, but it can also get tremendous value if the odds are in your favor. Now the last perk we're going to bring is Knockout. Knockout essentially hides the aura of downed survivors, at least when the survivors are standing outside a 16-meter range, which is pretty small. With Scratch Mirror, the less information that survivors have, the better. By default, Scratchmer Myers is always undetectable, so any R reading perks will not work on him. When bringing Knockout and hiding this location when they get downed, we're essentially hiding our own location as well. Now, of course, as mentioned before, without the Scratchmer add-on, you really can't do this. It'll permanently lock you in tier 1, but it'll also reveal the auras of any survivor within 32 meters when stalking. So you can essentially use this to see survivors in a circle radius around you, and that's how we're able to predict where they are and jump out. Now the second add-on is actually something you can change out. I personally use Boyfriend's Memo because it will increase our lunge attack by 50%. So Myers by default has a really tiny lunge in tier 1. This will help make that lunge a little bit longer, and it'll also help get some of those hits where we may be behind the survivor a little. For offerings, you obviously want an indoor map if you want to get the best scares out of people, so that includes Midwich, RPD, Gideon's, and Lerry's. The most common map I'm going to be using is Midwich because it is one of the smaller maps. It is very dark, and there's a lot of sneaky pathways and routes you can take that make you very unpredictable. RPD takes second place for the best map to go to. It's got a lot of tight corridors. The only issue is there's two very open places in the center of the map and also in the outdoors near the gate, and you could easily be spotted in these locations when trying to rotate to other sides of the map, and it makes you a bit more predictable than Midwich. However, there's a lot of potential for grabs and a lot of tricks you can do in RPD that are just very, very scary and very fun to pull off. Now, this might be something you would disagree with, but personally, from experience, I think Gideon's is better than Lerry's. Now, you're probably thinking that sounds ridiculous, but it's true. Gideon's does have a lot of pallets, and there's a large open space on the top of the map. However, the bottom of the map is a very, very, very walled off. There's a lot of walls everywhere. There's a lot of places to hide. There's a lot of gen grabs that are very much possible. The only downside is survivors are likely just going to throw a lot of the pallets, and you're going to have to break through them. So if you are bringing Gideon's, you can bring Brutal Strength instead of Ruin. I personally don't do that often, but it's something you can do if you maybe don't have a Midwich or RPD offering, or if you just want to try a new map. And the reason I ranked Gideon's over Lerry's, a lot of people say Lerry's is the best map for Scratch Mirror. I disagree. Lerry's is very, very nice. Almost no open space. The main issue with Lerry's is that the map is so big, it's hard to get pressure and it's hard to slow down the game. The whole point of running these perks and playing this style is to have a slower but scary game. It's not possible to go bounce from one side of the map to the other, getting enough gen pressure to actually slow down the game enough. The gens will fly, you'll get a few scares, it might be good. If you're playing against decent survivors, they're likely going to get the gens done a lot quicker on Lerry's. Great for scares, but time-wise, you're looking at much, much shorter games on this map on average. Alright, enough with all the perks and maps and everything here. I'm sure most of you already knew a lot of this, but we're going to go into some of the maps and show you some of the spots that are really useful for jump scares and actually can be effective in catching your opponents off guard. Alright, here we are, Midwich Elementary, one of my favorite maps for Scratch Mirror miners. We're going to start here in the center of the map. We have a nice little courtyard. We have some bushes kind of like in the shape of maze. You got lockers, generators can spawn out here as well. It doesn't look like there's any currently in this random generation, but that's okay. The outside of the map is going to be a very important part of the game. It will allow you to cross from one side of the map to the other extremely quickly, and allow you to also cut off survivors. When survivors are going around the hallways, it's very easy just to go through the center of the map and cut them off and get a quick hit.
Or not. He's probably just
In this guide, we're going to really look at the smaller places that you may not have known of. A lot of the places and jump scares I'm going to show you are very obvious, but for those of you who may have not played much Scratch Mirror, I think it'll be a nice little beginner's guide. Midwich has a lot of little openings and lockers like this. When you are inside these, survivors cannot see you. When on the sides, you do not poke out at all, and so it's a great way to get a quick drive-by hit on any unsuspecting survivor.
Come back, Jeff! Come back! I told you not to go over there!
There's also a lot of breakable walls on Midwich. You're going to want to get rid of these as soon as possible. The more openings for you, the more places you can jump out and get good jump scares. Now we're going to take a look at this room right here. It has the piano. Most people call it the music room. This room, a lot of survivors will sit on this gen and believe they are safe because they have an angle on this entire hallway. There's two doorways to the left, a third one that most people don't really look at, which is going to be important in a second. And they also have the main door. So when sitting on this gen, you can pretty much cover a lot of ground. If you really want to catch someone on this gen off guard, breaking these two walls is very important. There is a hidden passageway up here. Most people do know about it. However, it's going to be very essential in your Scratch Mirror Myers game. Survivors will not be able to hear you breaking these doors, by the way, which is very, very nice. So they won't be inclined to run away early. But when you do break this last door, you don't want to take your time going straight. If you go straight, they're going to be able to see you from that gen if they are looking. What you want to do is you want to hug this wall as fast as you can, and you can approach the gen in this corner. That way when you peek out, you have about 2 seconds for them to react, otherwise they will get grabbed or hit.
I feel like this is a pretty safe spot. I can see.
Another common generator is going to be right here. It is pretty close to an exit gate, and you have kind of this area behind it, a little pocket, you kind of say. When survivors are on this generator, a good place to go, sometimes this is a breakable wall, which can be annoying. What you want to do is you can kind of approach this pallet here. If this pallet is still up, they will not be able to see you behind it, and allow you to come from very close for a grab. And any survivor on this gen, their view is completely blocked by that pallet, and there's no vision in that doorway. They will likely be looking at that doorway over there, and also the one over here. Now, right now we're going to the science room, which is a bit hard to get scared out of. This is a very, very, very safe room for survivors, since there is only one door. It's pretty bad for Myers. Usually I'll come just straight through this door, or maybe stare from it just to make them paranoid. Most survivors will tend to just drop down the hole or go to this pallet, which is also very safe because you have a long table. And Myers and Scratch Mirror in Tier 1 is very slow. However, something cool is we can actually use this big hole, the second exit, to our advantage. You can do a quick stare from this doorway. Let them know that you are here. Especially if the gen is about to be completed. Sit here for a few seconds, make sure they see you. And there's always going to be a hole right here. You can drop down, and you can go straight underneath and wait for them to fall. Now, just so they don't spot you in the hole, stand a bit to the left of it, over here, behind this pile, and when they fall, you'll be able to get a quick hit on them, and usually you can catch people off guard this way.
Done Scratch Me Myers.
This is very good end game. You want to be able to drop down here and get a hit right here, or grab off the gate. This is something that's very common, and I will do a lot in my videos to get a last minute scare. Many newer survivors as well won't really notice the massive hole in the ceiling, but experienced survivors will be looking at this hole and might expect a little quick drop down. You also have this hole on the side right next to the gate. Sometimes sitting right here behind these lonkers can get you a quick grab if they're coming through the center, but besides that, this is the less good gate. It's time to cover the best exit gate in the game, which is the one right here. It's got 4 squares down there and a little vault. A pretty decently safe spot for actually looping, but it's very dangerous against a Scratch Mirror for a few reasons. One, it's hard to see because of the cage, but there is an entrance down there to the right on the bottom. There is a window here we can stare at, we can vault down. An opening here, we can jump down on these survivors down there. And also my favorite spot, which is right above the gate, death from above. You can usually fall down here and get a grab on the gate while they're doing it.
Dude, he's so fucking terrible. Is he gonna come up? Oh my!
Alright, RPD is a map with very small corridors and very tight spaces. And as mentioned previously, we have a massive open area in the middle here, where it is very easy to be spotted. So of course we're going to have to use this middle area to go back and forth between the two sides of the map. However, staying out here less is more important. We're going to start off here with the left side. There's a few tricks you can do. A lot of times you can sit behind these doorways and wait for survivors. There's 3 doorways on this side, and there's also 3 doorways on this side, and plus 1 back entrance that goes straight to the exit gate. The most common trick you're going to be seeing in my videos is a grab off of this gen. This gen, I believe, is always going to be there, so it is very important to at least try this at least once. It's a very easy gen grab to do. Make sure to watch out for that hole. Now, this can either be a vault or just an open space. There's 2 ways you can approach this gen for a grab from up top. You can go from the door below, but I prefer to do this. You can either vault here and go for the grab, or you can go from behind and get a grab as well, depending on where the survivors are. If there's a survivor on the longer side of the gen, I prefer to go from the back. However, they sometimes will be looking up here. So a quick vault here. It takes a bit longer for the vault. Usually you can get a quick grab off this gen from this angle. And like I said before, if you're falling from down here, you're going to have a little bit less time, but you're going to be able to get that.
Oh my god! Holy shit!
But this is a very unsafe gen for survivors who are unattentive. So great place for grabs, very common place for scares overall. For this gen right here, going at them like this is nice. Remember, there's holes in the ground in the bathroom and in the library. Use those to rotate to a different part of the map. If a survivor sees me just like this, I can easily fall down, and now I'm in a completely different location, and I can aim to cut them off. So in this example, we can go up this back stairs, and we're coming from a completely different angle that they won't expect. Just knowing the different ways to go down and up between the different levels of the map is extremely important. If you are newer to the game, map knowledge is going to be the #1 thing helping you get scares and having a better time. So make sure you know more about the maps and practice on them more, maybe even without playing Scratch Mirror, just so you get some more experience. Let's look at the back gate for a second here. The back gate's one that will be opened less commonly. There is a little bit of a pocket here to sit if they are coming from this side door, but it's very uncommon for this to actually be effective for a grab. It's something you can always try. In the back gate, it's nice. You can kind of hide behind these bushes and use them for cover, especially when approaching the gate. Also, camping this door, it's a very slim door, so it's hard to get spotted behind this, so that's a great spot. Sitting right here is an amazing spot. I used this in one of my Ghostface videos, and it worked out amazing. Also, if you are coming from this angle and they're on the gate, they actually don't have line of sight, so you can kind of crawl up the side bush, and you can come from more of a closer angle, especially if they're looking at that back gate. You're going to be coming from all the way right here. This gen right here is very unsafe. It's very easy to get a quick grab, especially if you're coming from this side. Coming from the other side is a bit harder since there's a lot more distance between you and the gen. I'd recommend coming from here. If it is the other version of this map as well, I'm not going to cover the other version since I don't have all that much time, but coming from the stairs for a grab here is also very handy. Once again, another hole in the ground, make sure you know where this is. If there is a gen on the downstairs here, it's nice to pop down here and come from back here. Most survivors won't be expecting that. Also, coming from this doorway onto this gen, it's usually right here. It's a great spot. Another common drop down. This is a very dangerous spot for gen. There are generators here very often. Coming around this door, easy grab right here. And then the easier way to do it is to be more unexpected, and you can actually vault up here and instantly grab pretty much as soon as you hit the ground, and most survivors won't even see it coming.
This would have been funnier if we were.
Although I am missing a lot, one of the last things I like to do in RPD is approach this gate from the side, especially if they see you in front, and going all the way around is a good way to catch people off guard. Obviously these are bots, so they're going to be leaving, but staring from the side door is a very effective way to get scares in, and you can also just kind of wait here for people. Oh, another great spot is there's actually little corners outside this main gate here where you can just kind of camp. And once you wait for a survivor to come by, you do a quick slap.
You were there. Oh my goodness. I so
Alrighty. Map number 3 is going to be Gideon's. I did rank these maps in order of favoritism. Alright, we're starting off in the bathroom here. Great place for Gideon's. Very effective for jump scares, actually. We've had some interesting moments here. You can actually sit right here by the door, or even around this corner. This one's a little bit better. It hides you better. If they complete this gen, you can walk here, and it's a free hit almost every time, unless they have sprint burst or something and just miss them.
Oh!
Now this gen's one of my favorite on Gideon's, because you can actually hide in the shower here too without being seen. If you really tuck yourself in the corner and just lay your back to the wall, wait for a survivor to walk in, and you have a pretty weird angle on them. So coming around this door is more effective, but if you want to drop down and get a surprise, that works too. Now, as far as Gideon's goes, I really don't have much advice for certain locations besides bathroom. Bathroom is one of the most important places for grabs. Most of Gideon's is going to be sitting downstairs. Downstairs has a lot of places where you can kind of hide. You can kind of be a little rat. You can sit in corners, you can wait, you can camp gens. Opening doors like this Having walls to these gens allow for great grabs. The gen is literally connected to a blind spot corner, so if I'm on this side, that's a grab where they can't even react to it. They won't be able to get off that gen before you grab them. If you let the upstairs generators all be completed, you have an environment where all the gens are downstairs. By letting them do all these gens upstairs, you basically allow yourself to stay downstairs the whole time and make it a much longer game. One last thing on Gideon's is actually with the exit gates. A lot of times you can sneak here or even up there on the side and survivors won't notice you. You can actually hide behind these vans and such. Survivors won't be able to see you. You can get a quick hit before they get to the gate. You can also drop down behind the van and come through the middle for a grab, which does work on occasion. But that's pretty much it for Gideon's. Not much else to say. A lot of it's going to be your own decision making. But yeah, my best advice is stay downstairs. Don't let them do that bathroom gen. Keep it alive so you can get some extra scares. And yeah, that's it. Alright, and now for my controversially placed last place map. We have Lerry's, which, as stated before, I don't really like, but a lot of Scratch Mirror players and a lot of people who just play Myers in general love this map. It is kind of a hunting grounds for Myers. There's a lot of doorways, a lot of long hallways. It's very dark, it's very eerie, and I'm gonna show you my main concerns with Lerry's. There's not many spots. Lerry's is just a very good map for scares in general. There's a lot of little places like this where you can hide and wait for survivors to walk by. Before I get into my main concerns, I'm going to show you the exit gates and how they're actually amazing for Scratch Myers. First of all, look at this atmosphere. It's beautiful. You can see the massive asylum. It's great. But the exit gates are great for a few reasons. One, you can actually hide behind these doors. A lot of people do know this, but the doors have little spots you can hide. Survivors use these to hide as well. The main part that I love about these gates is you can actually camp on the side of them without being noticed. There's enough of a dent on the side where if I stand here, survivors won't see me. And when they're on the gate, I can quickly come out and grab them from the side. When they're on this gate, they're going to be looking behind them here, and I'm going to be right next to them. And it just makes for some amazing grabs. Now, my main issue with Lerry's is that the size of it is just absolutely massive. That does make it great. There's a lot of places you can jump down from up top here on the sides. There's a lot of angles, and there's almost too many angles where if a survivor's on this gen, they're gonna be able to spot me on my way over because there's so many doorways open. As a demonstration for how large this map is, I'm going to literally travel from one side to the other and time it. It's definitely a good map for Myers, but I don't use it for YouTube too often, for the reason that it takes so long to travel, and most of the games I play, if there's a brand new part or many gen perks, the gens get done very, very quickly, and there's not much you can do about it. You will get good scares in this map. I'm gonna tell you that now. There's many opportunities for good scares, good locations to be, especially in the exit gates like stated before. However, I will have some games that are actually decent and they'll take a long time. The survivors are scared. We're getting a lot of jump scares in, and it works perfect, which is why I still go to Lerry's very often. But when it comes to Lerry's versus Midwich or RPD, I'm going to choose Midwich and RPD any day, just because I can guarantee that the game will last longer, and I can guarantee I'm going to get more scares out of the game. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video on the complete guide to Scratch Mirror Myers. Of course, we didn't cover everything. A lot of playing Myers is subjective. You can do whatever you want. You can play however you want. It's completely up to you, and I encourage you to be yourself when playing Scratch Mirror or any stealth killer. Be unique, have fun with it. For those of you who are beginners, I hope you enjoyed this, and now I'm going to end the video by answering some common questions I get really quick, just to clear up some things for the newer players. Starting off, we have many comments that ask, how do I get so many Scratch Mirrors and map offerings? Off the bat, I currently have 361 Scratch Mirrors, and I use them almost daily, and I'm constantly getting more and more. In map offerings, I have a lot of Midwich, a lot more. You can tell I play Midwich the most. A lot of RPD, a lot of Lerry's. It all comes down to just playing a lot and spending most of my blood points on Myers. As a Prestige 100 Myers, you tend to get a lot more very rare add-ons like Scratch Mirrors more commonly. The higher prestige you are, and the higher level you are, of course. So I also get a question, what is the most effective build? That is also up to you. There's so many perks you can put on Myers. A lot of people use play with your food for that extra speed buff to counter his slowness in tier 1. However, this is the build I'm currently going to stick with for quite a while, and it works very well for me. The last question I get on most of my videos is, how do I find so many streamers? And the other one is usually talking about how a lot of people are sour or toxic, and if I encounter people like that in my games. Now here's the truth, I don't have the actual statistics, I don't have the stats to back it up. I could keep track of it, but majority of my games, probably 70% of them, are not good. And you'll see this when we play Scratch Mirror live. Either A, the streamer has a reaction that's I consider not worthy to YouTube. The streamer can be toxic, or the players can be toxic. Some games I get completely gen rushed and there's not time for many scares. It happens. And there's also games where survivors will bring map offerings of their own, and we will get unlucky and go to cold wind and not be able to really do much. A lot of the time, the game is not worthy of YouTube or anything content related. The game's just kind of a throwaway. So there's a lot of people with toxic behaviors, and you hate to see it, but it's true. I'm just gonna point this out. Your games will have people like that. There's gonna be people that gen rush, map offerings. There's gonna be people that are toxic and mean to you. But just keep pushing forward and make sure you're having fun by your own standards. Don't let someone else's negative attitude ruin your day. Keep having fun, keep pushing forward, and you'll find some fun games, of course, in the future. As for how I get so many streamers, I really don't. The main thing behind my videos taking so long to make is actually getting the footage. I can edit my own videos within a few days usually. Obtaining the footage is the hard part, because a lot of times I will sit at my computer for hours on end, queuing and dodging until I get a streamer to play against. Most of the time I will be playing out the games normally with a normal build, trying to get blood points as well. So I'll do that as well, I'm not always dodging. But it takes sometimes hours on end of just re-queuing and waiting for an opportunity to get a streamer that's live. And then also the game has to go well, so there's a lot of factors that go into it. But no, it's not all rainbows and sunshine. I don't get streamers every game. I don't get good reactions every game. It takes time. Make sure you have fun, be unique, and just stay patient, and you'll find some games that are fun, and you'll definitely get some good scares in. We need more Scratch Reminders in this world. We need to make DBD a horror game once again. I love you all. Thank you all for the support. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I will happily answer any question as long as it's appropriate. And yeah guys, thank you so much for watching the video. If you liked it, please leave a like and subscribe. I hope you all have an amazing day, and I will see you guys soon. Have a good one.